accompanied by parents Jennifer and Bob. Bobby is a 2-year varsity letterman, a starter at defensive midfield, and a captain of the 2017 team. He will be attending Dickinson College in the fall. Bobby Barrow. Alex Beast, accompanied by mother Natalie. Alex is a 2-year manager of the varsity team. He will be attending Roanoke College in the fall. Alex Beast. Billy Chismar, accompanied by parents Kara and Richard. Billy is a 2-year varsity letterman in the goal. He will be attending Colby College in the fall. Billy Chismar. Kyle DePietro, accompanied by parents Michelle and Sal. Kyle is a 3-year varsity letterman at midfield. He will be attending Johns Hopkins University in the fall. Kyle DePietro. Brandon Harry, accompanied by parents Laura and Chris. Brandon is a 2-year varsity letterman at captain. He will be attending Florida Tech in the fall, and today is his 19th birthday. Brandon Harry. Blake Hill, accompanied by parents Gina and Charlie. Blake is a 2-year varsity letterman at defense. He will be attending the University of South Carolina in the fall. Blake Hill. Carson and Riley Geiger, accompanied by parents Sue and Bennett. Carson and Riley are 2-year varsity lettermen and starters at midfield. They both will be attending Towson University in the fall. Carson and Riley Geiger. Antonio Mastermanolis, accompanied by parents Anna and John. Antonio is a 2-year varsity letterman and starter at long stick midfield, who will be attending Florida Tech in the fall. Antonio Mastermanolis. Maddie Mayer, accompanied by parents Catherine and Kevin. Maddie is a 2-year varsity letterman and starter at attack in midfield. He will be attending Navy Prep next fall and entering the Naval Academy the following year. Maddie Mayer. Keegan Pearl, accompanied by parents Debbie and JJ. Keegan is a 3-year varsity letterman and starter at attack. He is a captain of the 2017 team and will be attending Furman University in the fall. Keegan Pearl. Logan Posner, accompanied by parents Julie and Shannon. Logan is a 2-year varsity letterman and starter at attack. He will be attending Monmouth University next fall. Logan Posner. Alex Rode, accompanied by parents Mary and Joe. Alex is a 3-year varsity letterman and starter in the goal. He is a captain of the 2017 team and will be attending the University of Virginia in the fall. Alex Rode. Jennings Schweitzer, accompanied by parents Sarah and Nick. Jennings is a 2-year varsity letterman and starter at defensive midfield. He is a team captain of the 2017 team and will be attending Dickinson College next fall. Jennings Schweitzer. Cole Stenerson, accompanied by parents Garvey and Steve. Cole is the everyday manager and statistician on the varsity team. He will be attending Salisbury University in the fall. Cole Stenerson. Jack Taylor, accompanied by parents Andrea and Chris. Jack is a 2-year varsity letterman in the goal. He will be attending Washington and Lee University in the fall. Jack Taylor. Brendan Shern, accompanied by parents Lauren and Kevin. Brendan is a 3-year varsity letterman and starter as a face-off specialist. He will be attending the Air Force Academy in the fall. Brendan Shern. Jackson Woodward, accompanied by parents Allison and Rob. Jackson is a 2-year varsity letterman and starter at long stick midfield. He will be attending Salisbury University in the fall. Jackson Woodward. A big congratulations to all of our graduating seniors. Cole Stenerson, please report to the press box. Cole Stenerson. the two heads of school, David Faust of St. Paul's and Christopher Post of Boys Latin, who are representing the many alumni of both schools who have played in the previous 99 games between the two schools.
And we welcome you to a beautiful day in Brooklynville, Maryland, here at the St. Paul's School for the 100th installment of the St. Paul's Crusaders against the Boys Latin Lakers here in MIAA Boys Lacrosse. A phenomenal matchup, one of the best rivalries in the entire country in terms of boys lacrosse, and we are excited to bring it to you here live on the Strive Network. Just a couple minutes left for warm-ups. As the coin toss just happened, they're going to sing the national anthem here, and then we'll get into our pregame festivities here at the St. Paul's School. Rendition of the national anthem to get us started here from the St. Paul's School. What a lacrosse matchup we have on tap for you. St. Paul's and Boys Latin with playoff implications on the line. We'll look at the MIAA standings. And we see how Calvert Hall, the #1 seed, they're going to be the only seed that's locked up to this point after today. They have clinched that #1 seed. Everyone else still in kind of flux. McDonough is playing Gilman today, and Boys Latin obviously playing St. Paul's here. So it is conceivable that there could be 4 teams with a 6-3 record after today. So that would obviously make things quite confusing in terms of the playoff scenarios, which get underway on Friday here in the MIAA, but a lot on the line between St. Paul's and Boys Latin. Obviously bragging rights here in this rivalry, but certainly as far as this season is concerned, playoff implications on the line as well. Let's take a look at who's going to be suiting up for each team. We will start with the visitors. There they are, the Boys Latin School in the maroon jerseys. Their teams are both wearing throwback unis today. You'll see the attackers in Brandow, Schilling, and Grimes, all potent. Greg I, Basil Aburn heading to Syracuse next year, and Kobe Russell in the midfield. Michael Ubriaco is the junior long stick midfielder. Reagan McNamara, Blake Gable, Evan Grimes, and Chris Brandow under head coach Brian Farrell. On the other side, we'll take a look at the St. Paul's School starting lineup as they take the field. Teams greet each other at midfield for the courtesy handshake before they do battle. Keegan Pearl, a captain of the team, is on attack. Logan Posner leads the team in scoring. He's also on attack. Matt Mayer up there as well. In the midfield, Riley Gager, Carson Gager, and Logan Zimnock, both the Gagers heading to Towson University next season. Andrew Caples, Ham Whiteford, Nick Hapney, and Alex Rode in the back. Alex Rode between the pipes, also a captain heading to University of Virginia under head coach Rick Mercado. There he is, as we are ready to go here from St. Paul's School. Off we go, and it is St. Paul's who wins the opening faceoff. And we are off and running here. St. Paul's coming out in the all-white jerseys. A beautiful afternoon here from the Baltimore area, Brooklynville, Maryland. 79 degrees and sunny, as it is St. Paul's who sets up their offense first. And all the way back at the top, this is Logan Zimnock. To the near side, Brandon Harry. As the first shot will go over the cage and just off the mark from Carson Gager, the midi. But backed up there by St. Paul's. Now it's Keegan Pearl trying to force it in. Defended away by Blake Gable, just a freshman for the Boys Latin School. In fact, a couple of freshmen that have already committed verbally to play at D1 programs for Boys Latin. Here's a shot and a save made. By Chris Brandow. So you got 2 goalies on this in this game that are both going to D1 programs next year. Brandow heading to Georgetown. Check that. He's just a junior, so he has verbally committed there, but still another year to play at the high school level. As Boys Latin looks to get on the board first. Just under 2 minutes in. Here's the long stick midfielder shot and a save made. And out of bounds it goes. Shot on by Garrett Voigt. Backed up here by Boys Latin. There's Basil Aburn. Will reset with Kobe Russell. Senior midi. Swings it to Greg I. Boys Latin 6-2 in the MIAA, 12-5 overall. Here's a spin move. No shot for Kobe Russell as it was a bad angle. So they'll work it to the other side. And a ground ball eventually picked up by St. Paul's and Nick Hapney. Good persistent defense by this St. Paul's squad, coached by Rick Mercado in his 26th season. His last of those 26 seasons. This will be the last game that last time he coaches in this historic rivalry. We will talk more about Coach Bricado as the broadcast moves along, as the Crusaders work a couple of substitutes in. And coming off the bench to receive this one is the attacker in Troy Barthel. Behind the cage they go. It's Keegan Pearl, the captain, spinning off his freshman defender. Now right on the doorstep, a save is made point blank by Brandow. But a rebound and a goal for St. Paul's, Logan Posner.
St. Paul's goal by Logan Posner. Assisted by Keegan Pearl.
Keegan Pearl with the assist. Logan Posner, right place, right time. Keegan Pearl with a good feed and a good finish. And the score is 1-0. St. Paul's with the first lead here on their home field. Face-off's going to be super important here today as well. We talked about two goalies that are heading to D1 programs. Same can be said for the two guys at the face-off X. And this one won by St. Paul's. It's Cherney who has won 71% of them this year for the St. Paul's school. It's been a huge reason why they've had success this season. And so far they have slightly won that face-off battle and now have possession with a 1-0 lead. However, they do turn it over to the Crusaders. Riley Bakewell could not receive. Boys Latin School, coached by Brian Farrell in his second year. He played in this rivalry back in 2006. It's part of a 21-0 season for the Boys Latin program, a year in which Boys Latin was named the national champions. Coach Farrell went on to play at the University of Maryland, where he was a captain 2 of the 4 years he was a Terrapin. They cough it up to the Lakers. Aburn couldn't keep it in his stick, so we're heading the other way with St. Paul's. Logan Posner heading to Monmouth next year. And retreating. We'll pass back here to the midfield area. Logan Zimnock. Now it's behind the cage. And Keegan Pearl, who had the early assist in this game, was his 51st assist of the year. Incredible number there. Yeah, that Pearl to Posner connection has worked quite a bit this season. And here again is Keegan Pearl. Thinking shot, now shooting, and a great save as that one was headed for the nylon. Getting up there to seal off the corner, the goalkeeper and Chris Brandow. That St. Paul's does win the race. And possession back in their offensive zone. Here's Riley Gager. And now Posner again. Posner with a little bit of space, but then he was doubled, so he passed it off. Now here. Again, it's Pearl. Shooting and scoring.
St. Paul's goal by Keegan Pearl.
Keegan Pearl with goal number 15 on the season. The first 2 goals of the game both had Keegan Pearl right in the middle of it, this time scoring the ball. You see on the replay, good turnaround. And a good shooting lane, not much that Brandow can do about it. So we go back to the face-off X. St. Paul's now with a 2-0 lead, and this ground ball somehow will make its way to the near side here. And they're going to call this one against Boys Latin, so St. Paul's with yet another face-off win. Brandon Cherney, senior, headed off to Air Force next year. Securing yet another possession here for St. Paul's, who's feeling pretty good in the opening moments of this game. Some of the best high school lacrosse that you will see in the entire country here on display. A lot of people here live. You can see some of the cars in the background. Overflow in the parking lot. Another great feed in front. Another goal for St. Paul's. Chris Cabral.
St. Paul's goal by Chris Cabral. Keegan Pearl on the assist.
Just Cabral's 4th goal of the season.
Yeah.
The score is 3-0 St. Paul's. And an early timeout forced by the Crusaders. Boys Latin takes it, so we will get a chance to step into the coach's corner. We will highlight Coach Rick Brocato, the head man for this St. Paul's school. 17th season as head coach. He's been on the sideline for St. Paul's for 26 years. A 239 and 108 career record at the high school level. Also spent a year coaching Kent, Denver at the college level and had a successful year there. Not going to be able to see him through the big huddle, but he has really brought this St. Paul's program to prominence. It's always been a historic program, but Coach Brocato now the winningest coach in the history of St. Paul's lacrosse. And again, announced his retirement following the 2017 season. He's actually coached on both sides of this rivalry. 2 separate stints with St. Paul's, and in between those stints, he actually coached the Boys Latin School. Head coach Rick Brocato in our coach's corner. Congratulations to him on a fantastic career. Does coach his son who's on the team. Talked to him before the game. He said he's looking forward to sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying the game as a fan and a dad. Something that he has not been able to do throughout his coaching career, but still on the job now in an important game. 3-0 the score, and we have a goal for Boys Latin. Very quickly off the face-off draw. It is a goal for I. Greg I, the senior midi heading to Penn State, wins the draw, heads right up the gut, and scores. You can see the Boys Latin faithful in the background there, liking what they saw, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Lakers, who have made it a 3-1 contest. Only a couple seconds coming off the clock since that goal. This face-off won by St. Paul's. So a 2-goal lead for the Crusaders as Bob Barrels spins it back. Also a captain on the team, midfielder. And Aiden Carey eventually gets it around. Comes to the near side, Logan Posner. All hands on deck here at the St. Paul's School. All other school activities closed today. Canceled today, I should say. So everybody else's practices, games, what have you, have been canceled. So all of the students and the athletes can come here and support their boys lacrosse program in a huge rivalry matchup, the 100th installment of this one. Big shot from the far side, but that one's smothered by Brandow. A ride by Keegan Pearl, but Brandow's able to get it away. Still some pressure by St. Paul's, and relieved there in the back by Boys Latin. Again, cool retro-looking uniforms for both schools, not the normal 2017 jerseys, but with a historic game, celebrating a historic rivalry. The teams put on some retro unis to celebrate. As Boys Latin scored the most recent goal, they look to get within one, and they will. Kobe Russell weaves his way through, and the senior midfielder makes it 3-2. We get one more look here. We'll get a good look at Kobe Russell. Nice move getting past this defender in Spencer Hall and finishing past the goaltender. So 2 straight for Boys Latin. 2:43 to go in quarter number 1. And we are back to the X. Out of movement there. A flag's going to come out. We knew that this game was going to be physical, and bodies flying into each other now. There is a flag on the field, and it's going to go against St. Paul's. The face-off won by Boys Latin, so they've got the advantage here. An extra man opportunity coming for the Lakers. Greg I scoring the first goal for Boys Latin. Looking for another, and he's got it! Greg I doing it himself, bringing it over the midfield line, into the offensive zone, and into the goal it goes. It is 3-3. What a response by Boys Latin. As we get one more look here. Good finish. As he won the foot race, did I, past Jennings Schweitzer. Lacrosse is a game of runs, no doubt about it. And we have a 3-goal run right now for Boys Latin in response to the 3-goal run by St. Paul's to start. And St. Paul's wins this face-off. Certainly a game of momentum as well. You know, the Crusaders would love to halt the momentum that's clearly in Boys Latin's favor with those 3 consecutive goals. Again, 100th installment of this rivalry. 51-47, Boys Latin leads the all-time series. They did tie once. Slogan Zimnock spinning behind the cage, not once but twice. Zimnock back to the top. No shot there for Pearl. Keegan Pearl. Oh, got a shot off, and it might have hit the pipe. Also got a piece of Brandow. Anyway, the rebound comes back out to St. Paul's, and back into the stick of Pearl. Posner and Pearl. Posner leading the team in goals with 57. Pearl leading the team in assists with 51. Pearl to Posner. Oh, great move there, and it will go wide, the shot. Backed up by St. Paul's. Shot on by Carson Gager. And brought back in by number 18, Matt Mayer. Under 20 seconds to go here in the first quarter. St. Paul's looking to take a lead into the second, and they will, courtesy of Logan Zimnock.
St. Paul's goal by Logan Zimnock.
20th goal of the season for Zimnock.
Assisted by Matty Mayer.
And Matt Mayer on the assist. number 7 on the year for him. It is 4-3 St. Paul's. Well done. A lot of time coming off the clock. Still some time, though, for Boys Latin if they do win this faceoff, or either team if they win this faceoff. 13 seconds on the clock here in the first quarter. They are at a stalemate at midfield. Now looks like we're going to head to the second quarter with the score being 4-3. Entertaining first quarter of action here. St. Paul scoring the first 3 goals, Boys Latin scoring the next 3, and a goal by St. Paul's at the end of the first quarter makes it 4-3 home team as we head to the second. You're watching live high school lacrosse here on the Strive Network. Start of the second quarter, 4-3 the score. St. Paul's leads. They switch sides of the field to the Lakers and the Crusaders. Simon Rose here with you, Strive Network. Holding call against St. Paul's. This faceoff won by Boys Latin. Check that, by St. Paul's, excuse me. The holding call was against Boys Latin. So we are just 15 seconds into the second quarter. 1-goal lead for the Crusaders. Kyle DiPietro, senior midfielder. One of the seniors who was honored before the game as part of senior day at St. Paul's School. And it really is a gorgeous afternoon for some lacrosse. Beautiful turf field, Martin Talai Field. And a goal for St. Paul. Logan Posner again gets in the scoring column. And Troy Bartholomew on the assist. The sophomore with a good feed, and Posner is good at receiving the ball in open space and finishing as anyone in the MIAA. Good play there. And back to a 2-goal lead for St. Paul's. As they win yet another face-off. Again, that has been one of their strengths this year. Brendan Shern winning 70% of his face-offs this year. 73 to be exact. Coming into the game, 213 of his 292 draws. So you're talking about a pretty good sample size. Pure dominance at the face-off circle for Shern, again heading to Air Force next year. His counterpart heading to Penn State. And Greg I, who's doing the face-offs. And here is a turnover by St. Paul, so boys Latin the other way. With numbers and a shot goes wide. The Lakers are there. Shot on by Matt Brandow, junior attackman, verbally committing to Yale. Patient offense here. And the Lakers. It's Brandow in the corner, taking a screen from Tucker Booth. And a sidewinding shot is saved as Rode got a piece. But quickly back to the action, as right on the doorstep was boys Latin, and they're going to get called for a violation. So clear attempt by Rode after the crease violation. Then they turn it right back over to the Crusaders. So here's the other goaltender who will start things up, Chris Brandow. Bring it up to midfield. Rowan Bartel. Rowan Bartel plays catch with Tucker Booth. Now Booth goes behind. And near goal line extended, number 42, Brendan Grimes, freshman, who's been the leading scorer this year for the boys Latin school. Certainly has not played like a freshman. Both of their freshmen have not played like freshmen. If you're a freshman playing here in the MIAA, you know that you've got some talent. Certainly some bigger, wiser, more experienced players on the other side. No matter who you play, it's one thing about the MIAA. Talking with Coach Bricado before the game, he said one of the things he's going to miss the most is anybody can beat you on any given day. There's nothing like it all across the country. Arguably the best lacrosse conference in the country, as that shot goes off the mark from Luke Schilling. Schilling also very dangerous, senior attacker. So you're talking about a guy that Grimes can learn from. It's Luke Schilling, senior heading to Johns Hopkins next year. He's trying to force the issue is Grimes. Doubled. And Alex Rode comes up to cut it off, and in the same motion, gets it away. St. Paul's heading the other way, on to attack. Under 7.5 to go here in the first half. It is a 2-goal lead for the St. Paul school. They've scored the last two. Including the only goal here of the second quarter. Talking with both coaches about the keys to today's game, they both said that key number one, keep your emotions in check. You know that this is going to be an exciting day for everyone involved, as almost pulling the trigger, Kyle DiPietro, but he had his pocket picked from behind, and boys Latin the other way, nearly running out of bounds, but saved by Jake Schneider. And now it does go out of bounds, so St. Paul's back with possession. And Coach Bricado said that as long as they control the controllables, they should be in good shape. The controllables being the emotions, as they are inevitably going to be riding high. He said, does the moment seize you, or do you seize the moment? We'll see. So far, St. Paul's has played pretty loose. 2-goal lead. Picked up here. Oh, a great save, a kick save, and then a stick save made by Brandow. Phenomenal work by the goaltender to prevent it from becoming a 6-3 game. And we now have a timeout on the field. It's called by Boys Latin.
Timeout, Boys Latin.
So 5:45 left on the clock. Since we have a moment, let's put this game into a little bit of perspective again and bring up the current MIAA standings. And Calvert Hall is the clear-cut #1 seed. They will have a bye and play in the playoffs at Johns Hopkins University, which is where the top 4 teams in the MIAA will play. 6 teams overall in the A conference will make the playoffs. Both of these schools have clinched playoff berths, but the seeding has not yet been determined. You see there's a huge conglomeration of teams, 6-2, 6-2, 5-3, 5-3, 4-4, all there, right there next to each other. So at the end of the day, it could possibly be a 6-3 grouping there at the top behind Calvert Hall. I'm sure there will be some crazy tiebreaker scenarios coming into play if that was the case. But Boys Latin playing St. Paul's here today. The other game of note will be Gilman and McDonough. Of course, if McDonough wins and Boys Latin loses, then McDonough has clinched the #2 seed. So if you're St. Paul's, you're rooting for Gilman to beat McDonough. Big rivalry in its own right over there. After the timeout, we are back to the action. Boys Latin on attack. Under 6 minutes to go here in quarter #2. 5-3 game. Kobe Russell from Boys Latin thinking shot, instead goes to Schilling. Behind the net, it's Brandow, Matt Brandow. Shoved there by St. Paul's, Nick Hapney. Now it's a great shot for number 10, Basil Aburn, and he cashes it home. Aburn makes it 5-4.
Goal by Basil Aburn.
Aburn heading to Syracuse next year. Obviously a very prominent lacrosse program up there in central New York. And he had a wide open shooting lane. He knew what to do with it. And you see Boys Latin's bench going crazy there as well. So we are back to a 1-goal differential between the squads. Under 5 minutes to play here in quarter #2. Boys Latin won the draw and then turned it over. So it's in the stick of Jackson Woodward, long stick midfielder. And now it'll be St. Paul's turn to call time. Take a look at some of the recent results for the St. Paul's school. Since April 21st, where they beat St. Mary, or they lost to St. Mary's 10-9. Beat Mount St. Joe's 10-7. Beat Severn 14-11. Lost to McDonough 12-7. Beat Gilman 8-7. Beat Archbishop Spalding 13-5, and most recently losing to that #1 seed Calvert Hall 8-3. Obviously, you play in the MIAA, you've got a tough schedule. As Coach Bricado said, anybody can beat you on any given day. And that was the case the last time out for St. Paul's, but still with a chance to get to the #2 seed in the MIAA. Playoffs start Friday here in the MIAA. There's Boys Latin under the direction of head coach Brian Farrell, who replaced Bob Shriver, who was the longtime coach for the Boys Latin school, over 40 years, accumulating over 500 wins for Boys Latin. Brian Farrell, who played for the boys Latin school in 2006 is when he graduated, has now coached boys Latin for the last 2 years. So next year it'll be St. Paul's bringing in a homegrown man, a former player, into their head coaching position to replace Bricado, as Trey Whitty will step in as the next head coach. St. Paul's back on attack. 1-goal game. Thrown into the middle, but they couldn't connect. It does pop back out to the Crusaders. Moving right to left, they've got the boys Latin crowd behind them trying to make some noise. Here's a shot, and it finds the upper part of the goal. A score for Logan Posner yet again.
Assist by Logan.
Let's take another look at this
Assist
goal
by Logan Zimnock.
by Logan Posner. He'll come into the frame right at the right moment. And a rocket of a shot makes it 6-4. Ball after the face-off. And the ground ball picked up by Andrew Caples. Defender for St. Paul's eventually loses it. Nice athletic moving there by Peyton Giberson of boys Latin. It leads to a goal for the Lakers. Finished off by Luke Schilling.
Field goal by Luke Schilling.
So some sloppy play in the midfield by St. Paul's after they turned boys Latin over. This is what boys Latin does after they get the ball back. Nicely done, the assist to Brendan Grimes, and it's 6-5. This time St. Paul's wins the face-off cleanly. Bob Barrel, who retreats back. And Bob Barrel gets it up ahead. Now it's behind the cage. Keegan Pearl using his body. To Zimnock. The junior midi resets. Andrew Milani, now back to Carson Gager. Now it's Zimnock. Going one way, then the other, and passing to Carson Gager. Right up there by McKenny Box, junior midfielder for boys Latin. To the top, it's Zimnock with the shot, and it's right into the stick of Brandow, who unleashes his man, but just off the mark. Looking for Blake Gable, and they do call the violation against Gable, so it's turned back over. So right back into the possession of the St. Paul School, as we have already ticked under 2 minutes to go here in half number 1. The 100th game between St. Paul's and boys Latin. What a day to have this incredible matchup. Violation against St. Paul's, and a flag comes out. It's going to go against St. Paul's, I think, because of some unsportsmanlike conduct. Didn't see anything physical happening by Logan Posner, but somebody said something that they shouldn't have.
Unsportsmanlike conduct against St. Paul's.
So now a great opportunity for
delay of game.
Boys Latin. The official call is delay of game against Carson Gager, so a 30-second extra man opportunity. Here for Boys Latin, looking to tie this game up. Ten seconds left on the extra man opportunity. Penalty over. And the shot comes on. The shot is in for Boys Latin. Connor Kaplan. First goal of the game for Connor Kaplan, the junior attackman.
Assist by Schilling.
And we are knotted up again. Half a dozen apiece. It has lived up to the billing so far, St. Paul's and Boys Latin, as we get one final timeout, we can assume, here in the first half. And it is St. Paul's who calls this one with 1:02 remaining. So we looked at the schedule for St. Paul's. Look at the recent schedule for the Boys Latin School. Couple of losses back-to-back for Boys Latin, Calvert Hall and Gilman. For beating Severn 16-11, Mount St. Joe's 11-10, St. Mary's 13-9, Spalding 17-8, and Loyola Blakefield 12-7. Overall, the team is 12-5, 6-2 in the MIAA. Team that's traditionally very good on attack. Coach Farrell said the biggest question marks were defensively coming into the year, but they have figured things out as the season has gone along and put themselves in a position to compete for an MIAA title. 4 times have these two teams met in the conference championship game. 3 of them won by St. Paul's. St. Paul's averaging 11.65 goals per game. Boys Latin 11.41. So these season-long statistics would indicate that these two teams score about the same amount, and that's exactly what has happened so far here today. St. Paul's wins this face-off with under a minute to go in the first half. We are back to a tie ball game. We'll see if St. Paul's wants to hold here. Guarantee themselves at least a tie heading in to the halftime huddle. Chris Cabral, who scored a goal earlier. Shoved off by Brendan Kraus. And now it's Keegan Pearl. Pearl with the great vision, under 10 seconds. Off to Matt Mayer, back to Pearl, 5 seconds. Now it's DiPietro, 1 second. Gets the shot on, and it goes just wide, deflected by Brandau. And at the half we go. It is a 6-6 ball game. Well played first half. Largest lead of the game was 3 goals for St. Paul's. They scored the game's first 3, but then Boys Latin ripped off 3 straight. St. Paul's then ripped off the next 2. They were up 5-3. Boys Latin tied it up, and Boys Latin tied it up for a 3rd time. So 3 different leads for St. Paul's, but Boys Latin staying right with them, and we are all knotted up at halftime. So we will take a step aside. We will go to the second half. St. Paul's 6, Boys Latin 6, as we get A replay of the most recent goal by the boys' Latin school. We'll be back for the third quarter. We start the second half with the game tied 6-6 here from Martin Talai Field in Brooklynville, Maryland at the St. Paul's School. It's the boys Latin Lakers 6, St. Paul's 6, third quarter. Gonna get underway here after this face-off. Team switch sides of the field again, left to right again is St. Paul's, just as they were in quarter number 1. They do win this faceoff. First 3 goals of the game scored by St. Paul's. Boys Latin matching with the next 3. St. Paul's has had leads of 3 goals, 2 goals, and 1 goal so far in this game, but we stand here at a tie lacrosse matchup between Boys Latin and St. Paul's. And a patient offensive set here for the Crusaders as behind the cage goes Carson Gager. And now on the far side, it's Riley Gager. Both of the Gagers heading to Towson next year. And Gager trying to connect with Logan Zimnock, who does save it in play, but right into the cross of Jake Schneider. And Boys Latin Brandau able to start the clear for Boys Latin, and they escape the pressure successfully as the Lakers in their maroons get their first offensive look of the third quarter. And a goal for Boys Latin, their first lead of the game.
Boys Latin goal by Reagan McNamara.
Reagan McNamara. As we get one more look here, there's McNamara camping out right in front of the cage. And a little bit slow to rotate over Nick Hackney. So it's Boys Latin now with the 7-6 lead, their first lead of the game. St. Paul's does eventually win this face-off. However, Andrew Capel's having some difficulty there, controlling that one. Good work by Boys Latin. And number 10, Basil Aburn, and another goal! This time, Brendan Grimes.
Boys Latin goal by Brendan Grimes, assisted by Luke Schilling.
We get one more look. It's 8-6 now. Grimes with a sidewinding shot. You hear the chant by the Boys Latin faithful. And they took the point that I was about to make right out of my mouth. Grimes is just a freshman. This one popping out into open field. Ground ball being fought for. And trying to save it St. Paul's, but it'll be Boys Latin ball. They've got the early momentum here in the second half. And the team on the road has ripped off 3 straight goals to make it an 8-6 game. Here's Kobe Russell, who winds and fires. This save made by Rowe. But can they clear St. Paul's? With Ham Whiteford able to get it up ahead to Jennings Schweitzer. Schweitzer, a captain on the squad, the senior midfielder with some good wheels up the right side. Schweitzer taken down from behind, stays with it, still has the ball in his cross just for the moment, trying to sweep it away as it is fought for near the end line there, and the violation called against Boys Latin, so they have to back off, and St. Paul's has a possession here in their offensive zone. Got to look at this Boys Latin sideline. As the Crusaders look to get back on the board. It's Cabral. And now Pearl. Keegan Pearl spinning off his defender. Keegan Pearl probing, looking middle, finding Bartholomew, and he scores!
St. Paul's goal by Troy Bartholomew, assisted by Keegan Pearl.
Troy Bartholomew. With a big goal for St. Paul's, it's 8-7. Certainly something that the Crusaders and Rick Mercado's team needed, giving up 2 goals early on in the second half. They don't expect either team to run away with this one, as the Crusaders win the ensuing face-off. Sherney has done a good job yet again here today from the middle of the field.
Good job, Jersey.
Kyle DiPietro awaits his offense to set up. Keegan Pearl swings it around. It's Matt Mayer now back up to the top. Chris Cabral playing catch with Kyle DiPietro, who makes his move. DiPietro, no room to shoot, so he goes to Keegan Pearl behind the net. Pearl looking middle, no one's there. Pearl using his body to shove off his defender, and then playing it out into open field, retrieved here by Chris Cabral. Cabral with a little head fake. His defender is McKenny Box. Now it's Matt Mayer. No easy shooting lanes yet for St. Paul's. And taking a big hit, Kyle DiPietro, as he is able to get it away to Chris Cabral. And Logan Posner, who's been relatively quiet here in the third quarter by his standards. There's this shot. Bad angle one, but it goes wide by Chris Cabral, backed up there by number 18, Matthew Mayer. Here's DiPietro. Kyle DiPietro with a shot and getting a piece. Brandow. Nice move by DiPietro, who's looking to get on the board for the first time here in this game, but he is denied by the senior goaltender for Boys Latin. Check that junior goaltender for Boys Latin, who's looking forward to being a Hoya at some point in his college career. Now looking at both rosters in the Division I programs that all of these kids are heading to, or a lot of these kids are heading to, it's extremely impressive. And just a testament to how competitive and good the lacrosse is down here in this Maryland area. Here's Cabral with a pass, and hit as he shot was Bartholomew. And coming out is Brandow. Dangerous pass. Well, I should say safe pass, as he finds his man all the way across the field behind his own net, and Reagan McNamara. And the clear attempt is good by Boys Latin, still with a 1-goal lead. They've scored 2 here in this third quarter. St. Paul's has scored 1. We are under 5 minutes now to go here in the game. Working into the middle, and the shot, and the score! Matt Brandow.
Field goal by Matt Brandow.
So we talked about the Brandow between the pipes and Chris. Here's the junior, Matt Brandow, on attack, giving his team a 2-goal lead yet again. Two separate 2-goal leads here for Boys Latin, both here in this third quarter. And yet again, it's St. Paul's down here on their home field in the second half. Something that they were not in the situation of in the first half. They had led or were tied throughout. Trying to work quickly, and they cannot score as Brandow may have gotten a piece off the shot of Brandon Cherney. Carson Gager probing here to the top. It's Logan Zimnock playing catch with Carson. Gager passing behind the net. It's Pearl finding his man, and the shot goes off the pipe. And backing up his own shot, Andrew Milani. Another great pass by Keegan Pearl could have turned into a goal. The goaltender in Brandow has stood his ground here today. He had cut off that near side angle. Nowhere for the shooter to go except for off the pipe. Now it's Zimnock shaking and baking and shooting wide. Backed up by St. Paul's. Under 3.5 to go in quarter number 3. As that one got away from Logan Zimnock, had a great chance at a goal, but he lofted it over the crossbar. The Crusaders still on attack. Pearl running the offense from behind. Pearl trying to make a move into the middle, finding his man. Zimnock fires and scores. Logan Posner, excuse me, with the goal, and Logan Posner makes it 9-8.
Assist by Keegan Pearl.
We get one more look here and a good angle. You give him some room to shoot, and he will fire it past you. Number 22 for this St. Paul's squad. And he gets on the scoreboard yet again for St. Paul's, and yet again, the Crusaders are within 1 here in the second half. 2:57 to go. Face off won by Boys Latin. It's in the stick of Greg I here on the near side. Luke Schilling, as around the perimeter, Boys Latin goes. Kobe Russell on the far side, eyed up by Bob Barrel. Russell working middle, Barrel staying right with them. Help from Andrew Caples, and they force him back out. Now it's Greg I. Will reset with under 2 minutes to go in quarter number 3. Still a 1-goal lead for Boys Latin. And patient here on this offensive trip. Kobe Russell. Across the way to Luke Schilling. Still no shot yet. As Greg I looks at the cage. And now passes behind it. As across it comes to Matt Brandow. Brandow doubled, stays with it, and a save has to be made by Rode. Wow, what an effort by Brandow to even get that shot off, and he almost snuck it in on the near post. And eventually picked up by St. Paul's. And nearly a goal on the other side for the Crusaders as Jackson Woodward put a shot on cage. Was backed up by the Crusaders. And now it's Keegan Pearl who starts the offense from behind the net. Out comes Logan Zimnock here on the near side. There's about 40 seconds to go. Zimnock thinking shot and scoring!
St. Paul's goal by Logan Zimnock, unassisted.
Unassisted goal. Logan Zimnock did it himself here. And we are knotted up at 9. You gotta love the resilience from both teams who have trailed in this game by multiple goals. Remember, it was Boys Latin who was down 3-0 really before you could blink an eye in this one. And they were able to tie that one up with good efficiency. And St. Paul's down by 2 goals twice here. Here in the second half, and they've tied it up at 9. Rode got a piece of that one and credited with the save as he was bailed out by his teammate, who was able to clear it ahead. And now St. Paul's, as the time expires here, shot comes on, but it's well late, and that's going to do it for the third quarter. So just as we started the third, we end the third with a tie ball game. It is 9-9 here from the St. Paul School in Brooklynville, Maryland. We'll be back for the fourth after this. The game has certainly lived up to the billing. The 100th installment and the last time that guy will coach in this rivalry game, Rick Brocato, or Brock, as they call him here in these parts. 12 minutes on the clock. And a tie ball game. Oh, great defensive play from behind. Bob Barrel preventing the shot. Stays with Boys Latin. As weaving his way through and getting the shot on Basil Aburn. And the save made by Rode. A ride here. And a clear by Ham Whiteford. Well done by St. Paul's. It was tough pressure from Boys Latin School. And now a chance for the Crusaders to yet again take a lead, something they haven't done since quarter number 2. Here's Zimnock.
That's a flag.
And a flag is going to come out. Let's see. Might have been an offsides against St. Paul's. So the penalty against Boys Latin, and now a
against Boys Latin.
extra man opportunity for St. Paul's. It's their first opportunity of the game. An illegal procedure, and you heard somebody on the St. Paul side saying that's a penalty. The referee saw it as well. And now a 30-second extra man opportunity here for St. Paul's. Ball's loose. Ball's picked up by Boys Latin, and they're going to be able to take away the remaining time on this penalty. Maybe turn it into a goal, but the shot goes well high. Out of the cross of Michael Ubriaco. We haven't talked about him much in this game, the long stick midfielder for the Boys Latin Lakers. Ubriaco, a 3-time starter, a 3-year starter, excuse me. Great all-around player. Heading to Johns Hopkins next year. His dad, Gene Ubriaco, coaching for the Boys Latin School on the sideline as one of the assistants. He was an All-American back in 1989. So he played in this rivalry. Now he's coaching in it. And certainly a special moment for him to watch his son in his senior season from the sideline. Boys Latin with it. They're going to call a foul against Ham Whiteford. As the shot comes on, the turnaround from Kobe Russell goes wide. Still 9-9 here. Who can break the tie? Boys Latin looking to do so. Recently killing off that extra man opportunity with some good defense. And now here offensively, it's Aber. And Greg I number 15 at the top. Greg I making his move. Near goal line extended. It's Grimes, the freshman, goes back up to Kobe Russell. Senior heading to High Point. Good movement here from Boys Latin. Here's Russell again. Has some room to shoot, and he scores in the top shelf. Great move by Kobe Russell to work himself free. And it's Boys Latin who retakes the lead, 10-9 here in the fourth.
Correction, Chilling with the assist. Goal by Russell.
Here's a quick look at the goal by Russell. And on the ensuing face-off, it's won by Boys Latin. Whistle comes, timeout called by the Lakers of Boys Latin.
Timeout, Boys Latin.
And with 8:28 on the clock, score Boys Latin 10, St. Paul's School 9. Take a quick break here on the Strive Network. Out of the timeout we come. Most recent goal scored by Boys Latin. They lead 10-9. Kobe Russell getting on the board. And St. Paul's with a good defensive stop there as they will head the other way. So St. Paul's looking to tie this game up again. Trying to beat Boys Latin for the 48th time in their history. Boys Latin has beaten St. Paul's 51 times since the 30s. They've tied once. Here's a bouncing shot that will bounce over the cage by Riley Gager and backed up by Keegan Pearl. So here's Pearl bringing it back in. Pearl putting it into the middle. No one was there. And it'll stay with St. Paul's as Andrew Milani wins the race to the sideline. Here's Milani turning on the Jets for the moment. And Keegan Pearl back up to the top in Logan Zimnock. Zimnock eyed up by Michael Ubriaco, the long stick. And Zimnock got the shot on, and it was smothered easily by Brandow. He has looked very sharp here today. Here's Brendan Kraus. Boys Latin with a 1-goal lead under 7 minutes to play. We are getting down to crunch time here in this big rivalry game. Everyone in town on hand to see the end of this one. All other school activities canceled in honor of today's game to make sure that the whole school is out here to support the Crusaders. Boys Latin faithful has made the trip as well. On a gorgeous afternoon for Lacrosse. Just about halfway through the fourth quarter. It's Kobe Russell now with it. Russell spinning, guarded by Riley Gager. And Gager has some good defense, so they go behind the net to the Lakers. And a good shot as getting himself free, Brendan Grimes, and Rode made the save. So wheels the other way for St. Paul's, and Jennings Schweitzer does his job as he comes off the sideline. Mayer and Parson Gager back to Riley Gager. Brotherly connection there. The Twins heading to Towson. Here's Logan Zimnock. And he turns it over. Does it stay in play? No, it does not. Tried to get it to Pearl. And an unforced error there by St. Paul's. Back to Boys Latin, who with a 1-goal lead can certainly keep their foot on the gas pedal, but take their time in terms of working themselves for a good shot. As we tick down near the end of regulation. Kobe Russell and Greg I. Greg I in the middle receives back from Basil Aburn. Aburn provides the screen. I makes his move. I shoots. Rhodes saves. The loose ball eventually kicked away. Luke Schilling had a chance to pick that up, and that would have taken plenty of more time off the clock for Boys Latin. Instead, it's last touch by him out of bounds, and St. Paul's reclaims possession. Officially 3:40 and counting on the clock. In the middle, this one's received by Antonio Mastromanolis, and that one is turned right back over to Boys Latin. Clock on your screen is unofficial and not connected to the scoreboard here at the field, so there might be a second or two delay. So as the seconds tick away, I'll certainly keep you in the loop verbally as to how much time's remaining. As Boys Latin has a 1-goal lead with under 3 minutes to play. And in no particular hurry are the Lakers. St. Paul's hearing some groans from their crowd to pressure up on defense. They need to force another turnover, as time is not on their side. From the top, it's Kobe Russell, whose shot goes high and wide and backed up by Boys Latin. 2:10 to go. Loose ball, and that is what St. Paul's needed. In traffic, they're able to force it away, and here is Alex Rowe, the goaltender, bringing it all the way into the midfield, nearly turning it over, and somehow gets it back. So St. Paul's with numbers, but they will slow the pace, call timeout.
Timeout, St. Paul's.
And draw something up. So 1:48 to go. And we get one more look at the side of Rick Broccato in his final 2 minutes coaching in this rivalry. We'll do an encore coach's corner for Coach Broccato. There you see the spray paint there. They say, thank you, Coach Brock. 17 seasons as the head coach here at St. Paul's School. He got his degree from Towson. And again, the winningest coach here in the history of St. Paul boys lacrosse. And is looking for an exciting one here at the end of this historic rivalry. The 100th installment between the teams. So 1:48 to go, St. Paul's. Shirley drawing something up offensively in the timeout. And Boys Latin, coached by Brian Farrell, an All-State and All-American defenseman in his own right when he played at Boys Latin. Needs his team to come up with one or two more stops. Near side now for St. Paul's. Zimnock goes to the far side and receives back. Now it's Carson Gager, and they did not like what they saw.
Timeout, St. Paul's.
As Brian Farrell puts the right alignment there, and there was just no room to work for St. Paul's. Had an extra timeout to burn, so why not call it again? There you going to see Brian Farrell in the middle of that huddle. Very young guy, graduated high school, the Boys Latin School in 2006, before going on to play at the University of Maryland. Second year as the head coach, replacing the legendary Bob Shriver, who was the coach for 40 years at Boys Latin. He also did Brian Farrell at the Salisbury School, a respected lacrosse program up in the Connecticut area, before returning home and coaching some of the kids that are not too much younger than him. Certainly a great player to learn from, great coach to learn from if you're the Boys Latin School, a guy who played at the most premier level for the University of Maryland. And now starting an era of his own in Lakerland. Under a minute, St. Paul's still down a goal, looking to tie. Out of the timeout they come. Zimnock comes across. It's Carson Gager, now Keegan Pearl. 40 seconds, and this shot will go over the cage. A good chance for Logan Posner. And the clock stops with 39 seconds to go. So quickly back to the action. Posner, another shot, and it goes off the side of the cage and out of bounds. 10 seconds come off the clock, 29 seconds to go. Gager, now DePietro, and Pearl spinning under 15 seconds. Pearl trying to force it inside. Pearl into the middle, no one's home, backed up here, shot comes on, deflected away by Brandow, and out of bounds it goes. 5.6 seconds left on the clock. It will be St. Paul's ball as they quickly get it back. This one goes over the cage. It is the Boys Latin School who wins the 100th rivalry between the schools. 10-9 final, and Boys Latin will celebrate a phenomenal game here, and it's the Lakers who come out victorious as their fans storm the opposing field here at the St. Paul's School.
Final score, Boys Latin 10, St. Paul's 9.
A game that no doubt lived up to what it was advertised to be. Two of the top lacrosse programs in all of the country, and never was there a lead more than 3 goals. There is the winning coach in Brian Farrell. Congratulations to him. St. Paul's, who started this game so well, up 3-0.
Stand by for the presentation of the Darrell Earhart
Boys
Cup.
Latin tying that one up quickly and really hitting their stride in the second half. It was 6-6 heading into the third quarter.
Ladies and gentlemen, that all lanes
and Boys Latin was really pacing play with the leads in the second half. They never trailed in the second 2 quarters, and they end up taking home the victory here by a final of 10-9. So the Darrell Earhart Alumni Cup will go to the Boys Latin School here in this game. The 100th installment of St. Paul's versus Boys Latin goes the way of the Lakers. So congratulations to Boys Latin. Tough loss if you're the Crusaders, but good news if you're St. Paul's. You've still got playoffs right around the corner. Top 6 teams in the MIAA all make the playoffs. And the Crusaders did clinch. So they will start their playoff run on Friday. But we will sign off here on Tuesday afternoon from the St. Paul's School. A 10-9 win for Boys Latin. It's been a pleasure to bring you the live action here from Brooklynville, Maryland. Simon Rose here with you. This has been a live presentation of the Strive Network, and we'll see you next time. Again, your final, boys Latin 10, St. Paul's 9, in the 100th game between the teams. See you next time, folks.